This episode of Bouts Talking Bouts is brought to you by Bare Knuckle Betting Shark. Winning parlays, if you're looking for them in BKFC, you got to be checking out BK Bet Shark. Here's the thing, $50 buys, you get a personalized bet slip. It's based on your own budget. You can be flexible. It is what works for you. And this guy's got the receipts. You can check out all the winning tickets. You can peep them, and you can do so at Bare Knuckle Betting Shark. Check him out on Instagram and get with it. Got them personalized betting slips going on, $50 buys. All right, on this episode of Bare Knuckle Radio, very excited to be chatting with an individual who competes at BKFC 52, and that goes down on October 20th. And it is a very intriguing bantamweight bout as Derek Perez knuckles up and toes the line against Ace Samples, and great having Ace on the show for the first time. How's your day going there, man? You having a solid one?
Yeah, man. Actually, in the work truck now, rolling out. Got a few little small things to pin up and tie up before I leave out. I'll actually be leaving either later this evening or tomorrow morning, heading down to Myrtle Beach to spend the final day with Brandon Bouchard. He's like a brother of mine. He's super close, tight-knit. We like to spend that last little bit of time like a brotherhood, man. Get ourselves into the right mindset, check on one another, and then we'll roll out Wednesday to Columbia together.
And that's cool. There must be, a certain camaraderie with that. I mean, obviously both of you are, individually motivated and preparing for everything, but it must be cool to also have like someone you have that close bond with who's kind of readying for, their own task on the same event. Like, is there that kind of, camaraderie and all that?
Yeah, man. You know Brandon and I's past. Have you heard anything of it?
You might have to expound upon that a bit. What was the backstory?
So, Brandon and I actually fought one another. I have to try to remember the date. We did the team MMA battle, the 2 versus 2.
Oh, okay.
Him and one of his best friends, Amos, which is his corner, was actually my opponents. Myself and Joey Mullen fought them in Myrtle Beach, and it was like, man, I'll be honest with you, when you start a war with the Bouchard Brigade, you need to be very well prepared if you're anywhere in the southeast part of America, because they bring a squad. I didn't know this at the time, of course, so I traveled down to Myrtle Beach and walked into this bar, and I met with like 300 just fully devoted Bouchard Brigade fans. And I don't know, man, I'm from the backwoods. I'm from the country, so as soon as I walked in and they kind of got their attitude, I just got mine right back with them, and we ended up almost getting into a fight at weigh-ins. Had an awesome just war inside the cage. Brandon and Amos ended up beating Joey and I. But man, it was we went from hating one another, literally wanting to kill one another, to just his following and family, his dad, his mom, his wife, his kids. We coached youth wrestling together. And I have Northeast Georgia Matt Monstars here in Georgia, and Brandon has the Carolina Reapers there in Myrtle Beach. And we put our teams together, kids from 5 all the way up to 18, and travel the country and let them compete. So now we're literally like best of friends. I love his family, and mine loves him.
Yeah, because I was noticing you had, MMA experience over AMI and Pro, but I mostly was seeing that in the singular kind of sense. The tag team MMA too, though. Definitely, keeping it fun. But in talking about that, I mean, you retired from MMA for a few years at one point. Like, it seemed like, based on an interview I saw, you were wanting to more have fun and just kind of prioritize other things. But it seems like Bare Knuckle drew you back. What was it about Bare Knuckle that drew you back to competing?
It's actually kind of funny, man. When I first had the idea in my head of doing it, I was like, hey, you're crazy. Your face has already been, rebuilt, your knees, your shoulders. I put my body through hell, man. I never really understood the mindset of go slow in the gym, as you could say. So I actually ended up going down to the Myrtle Beach BKFC show and cornering Brandon Bouchard. And when I got there, I seen Andy Hall, and Andy Hall had actually come to me, and he was like, "So when you gonna get in here?" And I was like, "Hell no, man, that ain't happening." Well, then he come back up to me later on. I was like, "You have no idea how many people have asked me, how I got you on a card." And I was like, "Well, you didn't get me on the card. I'm not doing it." And then I don't know, it just kind of stewed in me. And then like the dog and all of us, once I got into Brandon's corner, I was like, oh yeah, man, this is what I do. Like, this is who I am. I need to give this a shot at least once. And just going home and stewing on it and realizing that, you know, I have an advantage. My speed, agility, footwork, and just mental fortitude, on top of just the amount of years I've had Filipino Kyusho, which is just a lot of hand fighting and bare knuckle striking, is I have an advantage. So I was like, you know what, I'll give it a go. And my first one was at 145, fought Glendale Vitrell. He's a really, really tough game opponent. And I was walking around like 152 to 155. And then this is the first time I've made my cut back to 135, but it's going perfectly.
Well, I mean, that's great to hear and a lot to talk about with this next fight, but I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't, you know, talk more about that Glendale Futrell fight that you mentioned there, because it would seem like a great, you know, bare knuckle debut. Like you said, it's in a weight category that you're not necessarily like looking to be in. Maybe it's not the optimal weight category, one could say, but I mean, still getting that second round corner stoppage there in May. Can you talk about like that BKFC 42 win? It would seem like a good way to kick off your bare knuckle career.
Man, it was amazing. A lot of my hometown and friends and family had really just kind of been waiting for me to decide if I was going to compete again. And, you know, I was back and forth on it, and then once I decided to dedicate to do it, I had a large just support system going into it. And, you know, everything in the fight camp didn't go great. You know, like normal, there's always things that come up, never success, and could have done a lot more, should have done a lot more. It is what it is in the past. But, you know, I went into that fight knowing the keys to victory, and I made sure that that's what my game plan was. And I stuck to my game plan. I trusted my skills. I used the advantages that I knew that I'd studied, my corners had studied, and you know, we tried to, as much as we possibly could, pick Glendale apart. I will say, man, I'm 5'8" on a good day, and I got like a 67-inch reach. Glendale, if I'm not mistaken, is 6'4" and has like a 73 or 74-inch reach. So, in the initial part of that fight, right when the whistle blew, and I stepped forward, I won't lie, I had a very shocking moment of like, holy crap, man, this guy's significantly longer than I am. Not so much bigger than me. I'm very wide, but longer. And I just remember throwing a jab and him kind of throwing some feelers out there in my head. And I'm a kickboxer by nature, so I immediately ranged out if I could make contact with my leg, which is not like I don't stop my fighting style to think about that. It's just kind of like Rain Man just goes off in my head, like, yeah, after the landing that. All right, keep moving. I realized I couldn't have even kicked him when he was floating those long jabs out there, so I had to really adapt quickly and, you know, go back to square one, which is my footwork and mobility, and finally just, you know, found the right jabs, moved it the right ways, and started landing some big shots. What I do regret about that fight for me was I attempted to land too many big shots, and I really reminded myself in this camp that I don't have to hit as hard as I can to knock out this division at all. I have very crisp technique, and once I start trying to look for the knockout, that's when I get sloppy, and I beat myself up and all these things. But, you know, if you were watching me just in the gym with a good day of having the right music on in there and flowing and sparring with my partner Paul, it's just it's a much more simple, easy process than I think a lot of guys make it out to be. It doesn't have to become a dogfight. In the case it does become a dogfight, I want to stay clean, you know? If I'm going to get there and have a fight of the night performance, I want to be clean and as safe as I possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, understandable for sure, man, but you kind of touched on some of the sparring work, and I'm curious about that because I understand you own a gym, youth wrestling academy, and everything like that. Like, is that mostly where you're getting in that work just because it's your own kind of space, or do you get the work in perhaps another gym there?
Yeah, man, I travel and go wherever. I go spend some time with my Filipino Kyusho coach, Greg Blackingame. Probably 30 minutes or so from me. He has a very organized beautiful dojo in his basement. And it's definitely, if anybody wants to adapt an art that's really not even seen across America, look up Greg Blassingame with Filipino Kyusho. You'll see this right there in Athens. That is a significant booster for me, knowing that I trained in an art that is designed for hand-to-hand combat, bare knuckle, and with the intentions of dismantling somebody. And that's been one of my longest studied arts. And then on top of that, Joe Hitman Elmore, I go out there to Georgia Pro MMA with those guys, get in some solid work. You walk in there and it's just a steam room of just sweat and savages. That's amazing. And from the first time I walked in there, Joe brought me in to the middle and introduced me, and it was so amazing seeing a lot of the up-and-coming amateurs and, just beginning pros having the mindset of, like, they look at me and they're like, man, you're a pioneer, you're a veteran. And it really threw me back in the mentality to be like, that is absolutely true. I've done this for how long now? 15 years. Yeah, almost 15 years, just solid. Through all the people saying this is a waste of your time. This is a joke. You're never going to make it. You're not going to do it. It's not this. It's not that. But adversity is what built me. So that all those things just kind of really genuinely helped me. And the guy sitting next to me is Paul Amaro. Anybody that's followed my career would date it back, like I said, 15 years ago. And you'd see a baby-faced me with a guy who looks almost just like me. His name is Paul Amaro. He's my best friend. We met each other walking into the little hole-in-the-wall gym in Jefferson for an open sparring Saturday, having very little knowledge of what we were doing, and just got in there. We were brothers at first strike, man. I'm telling you, we just got in there and got it down. Like, I couldn't do any more with him than he could do with me, but when it comes time to rotate partners, we just whacked the floor with everyone else and had no idea really what we were doing at the time. But I don't know, we linked up afterwards, and we actually went next door and got like a Mountain Dew slushie or something crazy, and just sit back and was like, yeah, dude, this is, we like to do this. And really never let off the gas. We hit it hard. We trained every day, went through the stages of fully dedicating our lives to it, not having a job, training, getting to the amateurs, moving into our pros, and then Paul actually ended up moving here from Georgia out to California to pursue his career further, and met a lot of amazing just pioneers of the sport. Got to just spend a lot of time with high-level UFC guys that were at this point, I would go out there and train, and it's amazing looking now how many of the guys I would be in the room with just tit for tat. 100%, and even beating some of them. And then look at them now, and they're on UFC cards. They're Bellator champions. They're on Legacy. They're literally in every major fight promotion, and I can be like, oh man, look, I pieced old boy up for about 2 rounds right there.
Yeah.
But it's Paul has been out there for 7 years, and I'm on that mental health train, bro. Like I don't know if you know it or not, but I'm a suicide survivor 2 times over, and some days I just have rough days. And Paul never fails to be there. Him and my other best friend Glenn and Barr, like I know I can call them at any given point, and they'll pick my spirits up. And I just happened to call Paul, and he was having almost an exact same kind of day that I was, just parallels of the universe. And he said, bro, what do you need me to do? And I jokingly was like, I need you back in Georgia. Like, I need this physical workout. I need this mental workout. I need this brotherhood. I need this going into, as I climb this ladder for BKFC. And he said, say less. If you can help me get the ticket, I'll be there in 3 days. And one leg, quit his job, moved back out here, lives in my camper at my gym, and is with me day in and day out. So it means a lot. He'll be in my corner here this Friday night, and we've always had the same mantra, and it's Paul just had a lot of fire in my ass. If at any given point somebody feels like the tables may turn on Friday, and you hear Paul tell me he's ready to go home, it's time to go home. That's what lets me know it's time to just buckle up my pants and put my damn feet in the dirt and move and finish this fight.
Yeah, and it seems like you've always had like a great support system around you, combat sports wise. Like in kind of doing my research on you, I was gleaning the fact that your wife was involved in MMA at a good solid level for a period of time too. So it really seems like you have a lot of that in your life, just like a lot of that understanding of the lifestyle and just the core kind of support system. So great to see.
Yeah, Ashley and I we recently got a divorce. We've been separated, I think 8 months now. Happy separation. She had goals and ambitions and views of her life, and I had other ones. We did as we were married almost 10 years, and we always lived the fight lifestyle. It's always been a daily part of my life. And then as I was going through my last fight, my debut for BKFC is where a lot of my, just mental strain was still there from the divorce. I was moving on, but there was still just that lagging, emotions, you know what I mean? So I was able to channel that into the fight. And, now I've moved on. I have a beautiful girlfriend, Erin. She's just everything that I need. She's supportive. She's there for me daily. She, even not being in the fight world, understands the ups and downs. I mean, trust me, man, I guarantee this is probably true for 80% of the fight world. Some nights we just cry. Some nights it's just, I'm emotional. And I don't have that, I wouldn't say, extra burden of slowing someone else's career down as much. There's really no other way to say it. But if I was emotional, I couldn't be a good coach for Ashley or a good partner for her camp, because she was always training at the same time. And for Erin, she's there. She's fully dedicated to me. She's this might sound crazy, but my protein shakes are ready when I'm done working out. My meal prep is on point. My travel, everything that I need is there, and it's a godsend to have her and Paul here by my side daily as I make my way into this fight, and it's a blessing, man. It really is.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear, and my apologies for bringing up something potentially sensitive. Obviously, based on how I asked it, wasn't aware, but yeah, just to say, I mean,
I get along as much as we can. We are divorced, but we're still friends, and overall, we have a little badass 3-year-old son that already wrestles and kickboxes and fishes and hunts. So we have to be on the same page as a friendship for the sake of our son. I'm just glad her and I both can cordially be on that page. But I mean, hey, you got to find happiness, man. At the end of the day, you got one shot at life, and if you're just not happy where you are and where you're sitting, where you're living, the relationship you're in, the mental state you're at, you have to change it. Like, you may not have tomorrow. You really may not. So that's my biggest stress to anyone that hears this is, take 5 minutes, check yourself. Go look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you where you want to be? And if you're not, do something about it. Change it. Don't just sit there and let your excuses become your reasoning for failure. Take those Spencer Lee said it best, excuses are for pussies. Take them and run with them. Fix them. Make them the reason.
I mean, that's such a great message. I guess, partly, when you were saying that, my thought process was just how different this sophomore, BKFC effort could be. Because it seemed like what you were talking about there, you were dealing with some personal situations for the Bare Knuckle debut, as we talked about before, a weight class higher up there being at featherweight. And, I mean, it's your debut, so there's a lot of, figuring things out on the job. It would seem like you're going to be bringing, a much more comprehensive version of yourself to this sophomore BKFC effort. Is that kind of how you're feeling heading into this?
Oh, yeah, 100%, man. Nothing is a shocker now. I know the crew, great. Just everybody that works for BKFC knows who I am. It's when you can walk into a room and Chris Liddell says, hey, that, for me, him being somebody that I've always idolized, that meant a lot for me. Having your cut man, your guys that wrap your hands, just be on a real cool-ass basis with you is amazing. Having to personally meet Senior and Andy, I've known Andy Hall forever, Nate Shook, everybody with BKFC, I've kind of already known who they were. Now they know who I am, for sure. So I can walk around comfortably. There's no surprises. I know the routine. We get a welcome letter. I know where I got to be, when I got to be there. I know what to expect. And more than anything, man, I now know what it feels when I walk down that catwalk. I'm a fan favorite in the Southeast. I really am. I love people, and a lot of people either love me or you hate me. Either way, as long as you're making noise, I don't give a shit. I mean, that's just, when I walk out on that catwalk, it reminds me of how happy I am to be doing what I'm still doing. And that's what I'm probably looking the most forward to is I love that jitter. I love that. Holy shit, here we go. All right, you're up next. There's always that little unsettling feeling in my stomach, and then I remind myself of what I've gone through, what I've defeated, what I face daily, and what I'm fighting for. And when I get on those lights and I hear the crowd, I'm alive, man. Like, I'm looking forward to that so much. And I take that energy right into my attitude, take my attitude right to my opponent.
Yeah, and in talking about that next chance, you get to feel that feeling and the next opponent. I'm curious to get some thoughts on, Derek Perez here, because from what I'm seeing, I mean, experience beyond BKFC with like boxing and, mixed martial arts too, but also some BKFC experience for sure, getting the Knucklemania 3 win, and his last fight being against Keith Richardson, who, at least as of this recording, is readying to fight for the BKFC bantamweight title. So I guess in saying all of that, like, what are your thoughts on Derek Perez's overall resume and maybe what some of his better stylistic attributes might be?
I think Derek, I respect all my opponents unless they give me a reason to not respect them. And I don't fall on that gray line of I don't respect you. I fall on that black and white line of if you give me a reason not to respect you, I'm going to disrespect you. So I respect Derek. He hasn't said anything out of the way to me. Nothing foul. I haven't heard any shit talking. I'm a very confident person, and when I say that, Derek has a lot of holes that I've spent a decade exploring over other people that are much faster, much stronger, much more disciplined, much more of a what's the right way to say this? To me, much more of a complete martial artist, and I've been able to really exploit those holes in almost every person I've ever stood in front of. And I just don't think 10 minutes in the BKFC ring, whether it be 10 minutes straight or 5 twos, is going to be anywhere near the amount of time someone's going to need to figure me out. It's not. I feel like Mr. Perez he's disciplined to an extent when it comes to boxing. He seems very confident. I've seen his Knucklemania fight. I'm not sure what was up with him and his opponent there. There was some trash talk and back and forth. I didn't look into it. I don't really concern myself with that shit. But I heard there was some talking about his opponent's family, and that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm just gonna very nicely say, Derek, please don't bring my family into this. Please let's keep that fine line separate. You want to fuck me up, kill me, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And you're going to have 10 minutes to try and attempt to do that. But, I don't bring people's family into arguments. So I don't know what that was from. And then he fought Keith, and I've said it to almost everybody that I've talked to on podcast. To me, Keith is probably one of the best in the world. In fact, Reggie Friday night, I'm super excited to watch that fight. I chose to look for Derek Perez because he's coming off of a number 1 contendership fight with the guy that's fighting the same night as me for the bantamweight title, which is my weight division, which Reggie Barnett had and held. So in my mind, my second fight, if I'm fighting the guy that just was fighting for the number 1 contendership, then I'm trying to prove that, I don't send me up there. Let me see what I got. Like I want to know where I sit. My goal is to, catch him hard. Catch him at whatever point his body allows me to catch him. I'm not looking for the out of the gate knockout. I'm not looking for the end of the first, midway through the first, third, fourth. I'm not looking for any of that. His body will tell me when to put him to sleep. And that's exactly what I'll do. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I think, I would say best of skills to Derek. May God look over you and I both. But be very well prepared that this is going to hurt.
Yeah, I mean, well said, man, and it's been great getting to talk to you. I mean, the way you phrased it could even be a parting thought, in saying that, but I guess just putting the ball in your court and, seeing if there's maybe any final parting thought you'd like to add as we're kind of wrapping up here, like any shout-outs or just any general kind of thought you may have as we're kind of wrapping things up.
Yeah, man, I've got such a large support system. Aaron, Paul, Glenn, just all of my management team, my sponsors. It'll take me forever to go through the amount of people that I want to just sincerely thank. But I guess my biggest closing message is pretty simple, and that goes pretty straightforward, hard out there to any man, woman, anybody. If you struggle and fight mental health. Know that tomorrow needs you. That tomorrow fucking needs you. Don't make a permanent decision off of a temporary problem. Like, don't sit and dwell. If you feel like you need to take a day because you can't, take you a day. Go fishing. Go hunting. Go outside. Go get outdoors. Go do something. Find you an outlet. And if you really feel like you're at the end of your rope, you need to pick one person and call that motherfucker. And if you don't immediately hear this and know who that one person is, then you might not have that one person in your life yet. But no matter what, pick your damn Bible up. Pick your Bible up. That's just the truth. And I may curse and drink occasionally for celebrations. I make a lot of problems, bro. And, you know, I sin daily and fall short of the glory of God. But we are nothing without the man above. And I feel like everybody needs to hear that more and more and more. And hear it from somebody that is a failure, you know? That's the truth. A lot of times people get hypocritically judged because people can't just be honest and blunt. Like, I have no problem with my best of friends being like, hey, what the hell are you doing Sunday, bro? Why don't you come to church with me? Like, why don't we sit down and do a little Bible study? And I think that if more people did that, we'd be okay.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Just a sense of direction and broader, a kind of sense of purpose, I guess, any kind of form of community. Like, I get what you mean, man. Definitely a great parting thought to end off on. And that was also something I had kind of noticed in doing my research on you, just how much like the, you know, suicide prevention and awareness around that is important to you. And I love that you're using your platform for that. And we'll get to, you know, see all of that at BKFC 52. And thanks for coming on Bare Knuckle Radio, man. Really excited for this Derek Perez fight on October 20th. But, you know, until then, man, you just have a good rest of your day. And yeah, to reiterate, thank you so much for the time, Ace.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Give me a call if you need anything.
This episode of Bouts Talking Bouts is brought to you by Bare Knuckle Betting Shark. Winning parlays. If you're looking for them in BKFC, you got to be checking out BK Bet Shark. Here's the thing. $50 buys, you get a personalized bet slip. It's based on your own budget. You can be flexible. It is what works for you. And this guy's got the receipts. You can check out all the winning tickets. You can peep them, and you can do so at Bare Knuckle Betting Shark. Check him out on Instagram and get with it. Got them personalized betting slips going on, $50 buys.